blog for the first time since the end of August. Here's the thing. My decision to not write about certain parts of my journey publicly anymore was a decision that I didn't have much trouble making. Not just because I felt like it was the right thing to do, but because the timing was good. But that doesn't mean it wasn't hard for me to walk away from writing altogether in that platform after having spent so much time in the last year investing words and thoughts and feelings in that platform. And especially given that I wouldn't have found a lot of opportunities to be more honest with people if I had not written there. I couldn't ignore that. So, at the risk of being vague, I wrote again. Yeah, I took the risk of being vague. But I think the things that I wrote were both honest and pretty explanatory of where I'm at in terms of what type of sharing I can do right now. And that post is specifically for the people who I can't be honest with to the extent that I would like to be. Because everyone else who I am being that open and honest with already knows why and already understands where I'm coming from. Which is another reason why I don't need to write as much anymore, at least in that platform, because a lot of the people that I was writing for in the first place are now still within that inner circle. So it's not really an issue. But one thing that stands out to me about that is that with this new season of honesty and vulnerability, I'm taking a step back from the more public honesty and vulnerability and finding more value in one-on-one conversations and the type of vulnerability that actually builds relationships more firmly on a foundation of trust and love. The conversations that I'm having with people who I grew up with, a lot of whom I wasn't really close to at all, as a result of this new season of honesty, has been unbelievably beautiful. I can't explain well enough how valuable it has been to be able to talk about faith journeys and life journeys with people who have that connection to my childhood and the place where I grew up. Especially as I'm on this constantly changing path of what I can talk about and what I can't with people. Having a base of people from that part of my life gives me hope that we're gonna make it all together. It's a group effort now. It's not that whole thing with no man is an island. I forget that that's a saying, and then something like this comes up and I remember again. We're built for each other, to support each other, to love each other. And I feel like there is a group within specifically my generation and the one below it that values, I don't want to say values individualism, because every generation has groups that value individualism. But specifically in my generation and the one below it, I think we value like embracing being an introvert to the point that we don't like people. And I've never been a person that could subscribe to that, but I know it exists. And it is during situations like this one that I realize it's not sustainable. It not only is it just like a personal preference thing to be able to have people in my life that I can rely on, but it's just not sustainable if you don't have people to rely on. And with all of that in mind, I'm super grateful. Like, it's crazy to me that it's been less than a month since I started talking to some of these people from home about like where my life's at, where my head's at, where my heart's at. And yet we are all able to find not only similarities in our stories, but safe places to talk about the ways that we're different. That's pretty freaking cool. And I'm really excited to see how conversations like those are legitimately going to change the way that we interact, not only with each other, but with our families, with the church we grew up in. There's a whole lot of baggage attached to those subjects for all of us. Like a scary amount of baggage. But having each other is making all the difference. I'm really excited to see what happens. Relationships are necessary, and they're crazy good when you put the time in. That's all I got.